He jumps on his young opponent, who turned to his many times tested formula. Now Liang changed direction squarely flight and sudden struck out 3 acupoint piercing bones that sped towards the young man in 3 different directions. Go Jing hurriedly dodged. Liang Ziwang took advantage to thrust himself forward with the speed of light, and seized him by the nape of his neck. Very frightened, the young man struck an elbow blow at the chest of his opponent, but, to his great astonishment, he felt the impression that his elbow had sunk itself in a soft mass, like cotton. Liang Ziwang prepared himself to deal a fatal blow when he heard Huang Rong scream, "Old monster! Look here!" Knowing that she was very crafty, he decided not to take any risk. He struck Go Jing upon the Jianjing point, so that he was unable to move, before turning his head. He saw then the girl advancing slowly, and anxiously saw that in her hand was a bamboo stick, its green as clear as jade, which froze him in terror. "Hong," he stammered, stunned. "Grandmaster Hong. So, why haven't you released him?" threatened Huang Rong. At the time, when he had heard someone calling out his blows before he even carried them out, Liang Ziwang already was very surprised, but he had not thought that it could be Shi Gong. Now, at the appearance of the green bamboo stick, he realized that the voice behind the window was indeed that of the person that he dreaded most in the world. Terrified, he quickly freed Go Jing. Brandishing the stick, Huang Rong approached him and said severely, "Shi Gong wants to ask you how, while he deigned to speak, you dare again to do evil here? What impudence!" Liang Ziwang tumbled to his knees. "Your servant did not know that Grandmaster Hong was there," he stuttered. "Even if I had courage, I never would have dared to offend Grandmaster Hong. This fellow is, nonetheless, very powerful," Huang Rong said to herself, astonished. "How is it that he is so terrified of just the mention of Shi Gong's name? And why does he call him Grandmaster Hong?" But she didn't allow any of her thoughts to appear and assumed a threatening air. "And which punishment do you deserve? I beg you to please say some words in my favor with Grandmaster Hong. Said him that Liang Ziwang recognizes his great sins and that he implores Grandmaster Hong to spare his life. To say a word in your favor, why not? But several words, this would be really too much to ask. In the future, you mustn't cause trouble to both of us. Your servant offended you in his ignorance," said Liang Ziwang. "Please forgive his harshness. In the future, indeed, I will not dare any more to do." Huang Rong, very proud of herself, smiled and re-entered the inn, hand in hand with Go Jing. They found Shi Gong sitting in front of a well-laid table, a cup in the left hand, chopsticks in his right hand, in the process of treating himself. "Shi Gong," said Huang Rong while laughing. "He's on his knees and doesn't dare to move even a hair. Give him a hiding to unwind you, he certainly won't dare to defend himself." By the window, Go Jing saw Liang Ziwang kneeling petrified, with his 3 disciples behind him, also kneeling, all 4 looking miserable. He felt pity for them and said, "Shi Gong, why not forgive them?" "Little good for nothing without character," Shi Gong reprimanded. "Someone comes here to trouble you, you aren't capable of defending yourself, now upside down, and you want to forgive to your enemy. To what that resembles, I ask you?" Go Jing wasn't sure how to reply. "I'll take care of him," said Huang Rong while laughing. She took up the bamboo stick and went out of the inn. Liang Ziwang remained to kneel respectfully, his face full of fear. "Shi Gong said that you persist to do evil," thundered Huang Rong, "and that was absolutely necessary to cut your throat today. Fortunately, my dear Jing has a good heart, he did not stop pleading your cause, so much so that Shi Gong, finally, agreed to spare you." She wielded the stick and struck him a blow on the buttocks while screaming, "You go in." Liang Ziwang addressed himself to the window. "Grandmaster Hong, I want to see you, to thank you for sparing my life." Only silence greeted his plea. Liang Ziwang did not dare to rise, and continued to kneel humbly. Shortly after, Go Jing came out and waved his hand. Shigong is asleep, he said in a low voice. Do not disturb him. Then Liang Ziwang got up, shot a hate-filled look at the two young people, and left, along with his disciples. Huang Rong, heart full of joy, re-entered in the inn. She saw Shigong laying on the table while snoring. She touched him on the shoulder to awaken him. Shigong, she cried. Your magic precious stick has a wonderful strength, now you don't need it, why would you give it to me? Shigong raised his head, yawned and said. You about it speak with your comfort. He says while laughing. That is the working instrument of your old man. A beggar without a dog-beating stick, what would that look like? Huang Rong continued to tap it while simpering. You have such powerful gongfu. Those wicked ones flee just from hearing your name. To what serves you again to have this stick? You rotten imp, said Shigong while laughing. Quickly prepare me some dishes, I'll explain it for you presently. Huang Rong obeys and quickly went into the kitchen to prepare 3 small dishes. Right hand holding a wine cup, left hand squeezing the bone of a ham that he gnawed slowly, Shigong began. The proverb says that resembles itself assembles itself. The full ones form a clan, the outlaws of the highway who rob the passengers form a clan, us others that freely pass our lives begging food leftovers, let us form also a clan. I understand, exclaimed Huang Rong while clapping her hands. That old Liang called you Grand Master Hong, are you thus the chief of the beggars? Precisely. Us beggars, one we walk over, one launches the dogs on us. If one did not group together oneself in a band, how could we survive? The ordinary citizens, in the north of the country, are for the moment under the authority of the Jin. In the south, they are under the authority of the Song Emperor. But every beggar in the country, whether they be in the south or the north, interrupted Huang Rong, are placed under your authority. Yes. Shigong agreed with a smile. This bamboo stick and this gourd have been from generation to generation, since the end of the Tang dynasty until today, in other words, for several centuries ago, between the hands of the Grand Master of the beggar clan. This is as the jade seal of the little emperor, or the seal of the now Mandarin officers. Just as well you didn't give it to me, said Huang Rong, sticking out her tongue. Why not? If every little beggar in the country came to find me, for me to sort out their affairs, that would be a catastrophe. You have a good reason, Shigong sighed. As I am of a lax and lazy nature, the weight of Grand Master of the beggar clan is really too heavy for my shoulders. But I can't find a person to whom I can entrust it. Then I have well to do with. So that's why old Liang fears you so much. If all the beggars of the country came to give trouble to him, he would be in big trouble. If each one dropped a louse in his collar, that would trouble him until the end of his days. Shigong and Go Jing burst out laughing. No, the old beggar said at last, not just for that. He's also scared of me. What is that? Nearly 20 years ago, he was committing an evil deed when I fell upon him. What evil deed? That old monster, said Shigong hesitantly, believed a section of the adage gather the yin to nourish the yang. He had obtained for himself several virgins, of which he violated their bodies, supposedly to obtain immortality. What's that, to violate the body? Asked Huang Rong. The girl, whose mother had died in childbirth, had been taught by her father. After the treachery and escape of Chen Xuanfeng and of Mai Chaofeng, Huang Yaoshi, furious, had crippled his other disciples and they had all fled. No others remained on Peach Blossom Island than some mute servants. No one had therefore spoken to the girl of the things that happened between men and women. Since that she had met Go Jing, she felt a joy and an unspeakable softness in his company, a melancholy and unbearable solitude when she was separated of him even for an instant. She believed that to be husband and wife meant nothing more than never to part from each other. That was why for so long she had considered Go Jing as her husband, without knowing the nature of conjugal relations. Her question therefore put Shigong in great difficulty. To violate the body of the virgins, The girl insisted, "This is to kill them?" "No," Shi Gong responded, "when a woman undergoes such an outrage, this is sometimes more painful than the death itself. The proverb says to be dishonored is grave, to die of hunger is nothing." "That says well what I want to say." Huang Rong did not understand not yet. "Does that mean to cut the ears or the nose with a knife?" "Pew," said Shi Gong, bothered. "Not at all. Little imp, you better ask your mother when you get back home." "My mother is dead." "Ah," said the beggar. "Then you will understand after your wedding night with our silly young fellow." Huang Rong reddened, understanding at last that it was a matter of shameful things. She said softly, "If you do not want to explain, so worse. Therefore, you fell on the old monster in the process of committing this evil deed, then is it past then?" Shi Gong, relieved to see that she did not put any more embarrassing questions, continued. "Well, I intervened, thought's right. I caught this rascal, I gave him a good thrashing and pulled out all his hair. After, I obliged it to bring back these girls at their place and to promise solemnly that he would not recommence ever again. If I resumed it to do that, he would regret ever having been born. It would seem that, for all these years, he never broke his promise, that's the reason why I spared him today." He said then, "Goodness, did his hair grow back?" "Oh yes," said Huang Rong while bursting out laughing. "Pull out all the hair of the head, that would have been really funny." All three finished the meal. Shi Gong, Huang Rong then said, "Now, even if you wanted to give me this bamboo stick, I wouldn't want it. But we cannot anyway to remain close to you all our lives. Now, what if we come across this Liang fellow, and he says to us, 'Well, little brat, last time, you sheltered yourself under the name of Grandmaster Hong and you hit me with his bamboo stick. Today in going to avenge myself I will pull out you all your hair. That will we do then?' When my Jing fought with him, his one and only blow, resisting the dragon means regret. That is of course powerful, but that means little all the same, no? I am sure that Liang said in his heart. Grandmaster Hong has Gong Fu of an infinite power, but when it begins teaching to a disciple, this is really not that terrible. I know well, said Shi Gong, that you hurl all these stupidities, provoking and threatening, so that I'll sign off all my skills to you too. Well, so long that you get ready some good dishes for me, I won't disappoint you." Huang Rong, delighted, took Shi Gong by the hand to go in the pine wood. Shi Gong imparted then to Go Jing the second blow of the 18 dragon mastering palms, called Flying Dragon in the Heavens. In this blow, it was necessary to jump into the air and strike from the top down, an extremely powerful attack. Go Jing took 3 days to assimilate it. During these 3 days, Shi Gong took the snack occasion to about 10 more delicious food. Huang Rong, for its part, asked nothing from him for herself. Provided that he consented to teach her loved one, she was more than enough satisfied. In the space of a month, Shi Gong had taught Go Jing 15 of the 18 dragon mastering palms, from resisting the dragon means regret to sighting the dragon in the field. These 18 dragon mastering palms were Shi Gong's ultimate skills. He had originally learned them from his Shifu, instrumental invented himself. The number of blows of course was limited, but each of them was full of exceptional power. At the time of the first Huashan tournament, when the 5 Supreme Masters had measured themselves, these 18 palms were not completely up to the mark, but they had already given rise to respect and general admiration. Thereafter, Shi Gong often had expressed his regrets. If he had concentrated all his efforts to perfect this technique some years earlier, the title of first in the martial world might not have been fallen to the Grand Master of the Quanzhen sect, Wang Chongyang, but to himself. At first, Shi Gong had no intention to pass on more than 2 or 3 of these 18 palms to Go Jing, which would already have far sufficed for him to defend himself. But Huang Rong was really an unparalleled cook. Every day she prepared new dishes of exceptional taste, never repeating herself, and the old beggar could not resolve himself to leave. So, day after day, he ended up teaching the 15 blows. Go Jing did not understand quickly, but the little that he learned, he retained, and repeated day and night, working with determination, so well that he achieved a good mastery of the 15 blows, lacking no more in power than time and practice alone could give to him. Thus, in a little more of a month, his gongfu had achieved such progress that he was no longer the same person. That morning, after breakfast, Shi Gong said, while sighing, "My children, we have been together for more of a month, it's time we took leave of each other." "Ah, but no," protested Huang Rong. "I have many more small dishes for your taste. There are not endless banquets, but there is an infinity of dishes I never have, of all my life, taught anybody for more than 3 days. This time, I've done that for more than 30 days. If this continues, it will be a catastrophe." "How's that?" "Well, you will strip me of all that I know. You've started a good work, why not go to the end? Teach him therefore the 18 poems, that would be an accomplishment." "Phew, that would be an accomplishment for you too, but not for me." Huang Rong, full of worry, wondered what strategies she could invent to get Shi Gong to teach the 3 remaining blows to Go Jing, but the old beggar did not give her the time. Hitching his cord over the back again, he left without speaking further. Go Jing chased after him, but Shi Gong went so quickly that he had disappeared in a wink. The young man raced to the pines and cried, "Shi Gong, Shi Gong." Huang Rong had followed him and joined her cries to his. Sudden, a shadow arose from the pines. It was Shi Gong, who addressed them angrily. "What do you have, dirty kids, to stick me to the truss? If you want me to teach you more, this is absolutely impossible." "You have already taught us too much," said Go Jing. "I am more than satisfied, how could I wish to want more? It's only that I did not thank you once again for your kindness." He knelt then and kowtowed, striking the ground with his forehead, several times. Shi Gong paled. "Stop," he cried, "that which I taught you, is nothing other than a suitable payment for the small dishes that she prepared for me. There has never been a relationship of master and disciple between us." At that, he knelt also and himself kowtowed in front of Go Jing. Stunned, he attempted to kowtow again, but Shi Gong extended a hand and touched on a point under the armpit of the young man, who remained petrified, legs half bent. The beggar released him only after to have prostrated itself 4 times in front of him. "Remember, you," he cautioned, "never mention that you kowtow to me and that you are my disciple." Understanding that he had a stubborn character, Go Jing didn't attempt to contradict him. "Shi Gong," sighed Huang Rong, "you were so good for us, now we must part. I had the intention to prepare you again small dishes, when we would review ourselves, but unfortunately I fear that this is not any more possible." "And why not?" Shi Gong asked. "Many people want to do evil to us, leaving aside that old monster immortal ginseng. There are many more evildoers. One day, we will end up dying at their hands." "What is death?" Shi Gong said with a smile. "Everyone must die one day." "Of course," replied Huang Rong while shaking the head, "it's not a big deal to die, but I'm scared that they would capture me and, learning that I received your teaching and that I cooked for you, they would force me to do them all these flat vouchers that I prepared you. This would be a stain on your reputation." Shi Gong knew well that the girl was trying to trick more skills out of him, but, at the thought that someone might force her to cook, while himself could not taste these succulent dishes, he couldn't prevent himself from feeling great anger. "Who are these villains that scare you?" he demanded. "There is," replied Huang Rong, "a certain old monster of the Yellow River, Sha Tong Tian. He eats in such a disgusting way. What a shame it would be for him to have my delicious dishes." "There's no need to fear Sha Tong Tian," said Shi Gong while shaking his head. "In 1 or 2 years, this dummy Go Jing will be stronger than him. There's nothing to fear." Huang Rong mentioned again the Tibetan monk Ling Ji and Peng Lian Hu. To which Shi Gong replied again, "Nothing to fear." But when Huang Rong mentioned the young master of White Camel Peak, Aoyang K, Shi Gong seemed taken aback. He questioned her on the techniques and moves of this new opponent, before nodding his head. "Thoughts indeed." In front of the seriousness of his face, the girl asked, "He's very powerful, isn't that right?" "There's nothing to fear from Aoyang K," said Shi Gong. "It's his uncle, the old Venom, that is fearsome." "The old Venom? But no matter how fearsome, he cannot be stronger than you, isn't that right?" Shi Gong didn't reply. He thought for a while, before he stated, "At the time, we were equals. But that was 20 years ago. For those 20 years, has surely trained harder than me, who's lazy and gluttonous. Huh? But to beat this old beggar, nonetheless, won't be easy. Then he certainly can't beat you." "We will see," said Shi Gong, shaking his head. "Good, since the nephew of the old Venom, Yang Feng, is after your head, we must be careful. I will eat of your cooking for 15 days. But let's make one thing clear: if, during these 15 days, you present the same dish to me twice, I'll get up and say goodbye." Huang Rong was delighted. She was decided to give the measure of all sound talent thus. Not only she never repeated the same dish, but she proposed even infinite variations in the accompaniment in noodles and rice, in different takings to every meal's fried donuts to the frying pan, flat noodles and broth, Cantonese rice, soft rice, rice cake slimy, tofu, etc. Shi Gong, for his part, himself took pains to teach the two young people the art to adapt itself to all the fight positions, to react and to better defend themselves. Only, he never taught the 3 blows lacking in the 18 dragon mastering palms. Go Jing deepened of course his mastery of the 15 blows, but he increased equally in the power of all the martial arts he had learned with the Jiangnan Odd Six. Shi Gong had, before the age of 35, practiced a very diversified gongfu, learning innumerable fist techniques and of palm, among which ones he deliberately chose bizarre types for Huang Rong, but it was just as a joke. These techniques were beautiful to look at, but their real effectiveness in battle was far inferior to the 15 palms, simple and direct. Huang Rong herself looked only to have fun, without really to invest herself in this apprenticeship. Go Jing was practicing his palms one evening, when Huang Rong climbed a tree to gather bamboo shoots and plums for an unconventional dish called the 3 Friends of Winter, which tastes of 3 distinct flavors. Hong Kong couldn't stop himself from drooling. He then suddenly bent into a thicket of grass and fished out a 2-foot-long blue snake. "Snake!" Huang Rong shouted. With his left hand, Hong Shikong lightly pushed Huang Rong on her shoulder, forcing her a few feet away. The thick patch of grass rustled again, revealing more snakes. Hong Shikong struck each snake with the doggy beating stick on the center of its head. The blow immediately killed them. Huang Rong shouted as her face colored. 2 snakes didn't flee from Hong Shikong. They climbed the tree and bit Huang Rong. Hong Shikong knew the blue snakes, although small, possessed a highly venomous poison without compare. He immediately wanted to cure Huang Rong, but suddenly a large horde of blue snakes materialized. He grabbed Huang Rong by her waistband and took Go Jing's hand before running back to the inn. There, he knelt to examine Huang Rong and discovered her complexion to be normal. "How?" he said. "It's not a problem," Huang Rong laughed. Fear struck Go Jing when he saw the 2 snakes bite Huang Rong. He reached down to pull them off of her body. Hong Shikong told Go Jing to be careful. As Go Jing prepared himself to remove the snakes, he noticed blood dripping from their heads. They were already dead. Hong Shikong understood. "Your father gave you his soft hedgehog armor." When the snakes bit Huang Rong, they were immediately killed by the spikes on her armor, which pierced their heads. Go Jing went to pull the other snake off of Huang Rong when more snakes emerged from the forest. Hong Shikong placed a yellow herb in his mouth and chewed. By this time, over 1,000 snakes had emerged from the forest. Many more were out of the sight of the heroes. "Master Hong, "Let's get out of here," Go Jing said. Hong Shikong didn't answer. Instead, he unstopped his gourd and took a large swig from it. He mixed the yellow herb with the wine, which he spit from left to right, creating an arc in front of the three. When one black snake attempted to cross the medicated wine, it immediately keeled over. None of the other blue snakes dared to cross the wine afterwards. Indeed, the ones in the front attempted to retreat, but more snakes were emerging from the forest. Both groups crashed into one another, causing a great deal of chaos. Huang Rong clapped her hands and shouted in pleasure. The forest suddenly emitted a strange noise before three men dressed in white emerged from it. They used a pole to shepherd the snakes as if they were oxen. Huang Rong found this all amusing. But then she suddenly felt like vomiting. Hong Shikong struck at a snake with his doggy beating stick. He then took the snake and used 2 fingers to extract its gallbladder. "Quickly swallow this," he said to Huang Rong. "Don't bite or chew them, or you will feel pain." After swallowing the gallbladders, Huang Rong's chest immediately felt at ease. "Brother Jing, do you feel dizzy?" Huang Rong said. Go Jing shook his head. Because he drank the blood of the giant snake, Go Jing had become impervious to over 100 poisons. The snakes also felt fear whenever they smelled the scent of the blood on Go Jing. When they emerged from the forest, they were really after just Hong Shikong and Huang Rong. "Master Hong, these snakes were raised by people," Huang Rong said. Hong Shikong nodded and angrily glared at the 3 men in white. The 3 men were also angry after they saw Hong Shikong feed the gallbladder to Huang Rong. They reorganized the snake line. "You 3 bastards!" One of them shouted. "Are you tired of living?" "No, you must be the 3 bastards who are tired of living," Huang Rong shouted back. Hong Shikong clapped Huang Rong on the shoulders in approval. The 3 men became even angrier. The sallow-cheeked, middle-aged man standing in the middle thrust the long pole at Huang Rong with a surprising amount of force. Hong Shikong pressed the doggy beating stick against the pole, which immediately stopped. Startled, the man pulled on the pole with both of his hands. Hong Shikong shook the doggy beating stick and shouted, "Go out!" The man stumbled and flipped over, landing right in the middle of all the deadly snakes. He had luckily eaten an herb snake earlier, so the snakes were unwilling to bite him. Shocked, the other 2 men took a step back. "How?" they said. Indeed, the other man had fallen so hard that he crushed 10 snakes and felt sore all over. One of his companions, a fair-skinned man, held out the pole to the sallow-cheeked man to support him. They were reluctant to fight again. "Who dares to stop our snakes with that herb?" the sallow-cheeked man said. Laughing, Hong Shikong paid no attention to them. "Who are you to send out so many poisonous snakes to injure people?" Huang Rong replied. The 3 men looked at one another, trying to figure out how to respond when another man dressed in white appeared at the edge of the forest. He walked through a narrow path between the snakes while fanning himself. Both Go Jing and Huang Rong recognized him as Aoang Ke, the master of White Camel Mountain, whose presence amongst their ranks caused the snakes to disperse. The 3 men welcomed their master and told him of Hong Shikong's amazing ability and the situation that had just transpired. Aoang Ke was surprised. Then he nodded. "These 3 brothers were ignorant and affronted seniors," he said. "They apologize." Then he turned to Huang Rong and smiled. "The lady is here," he said. "I am at your service."